Hello and welcome to Red Clay This Month, the show that brings light to important educational issues that affect students at the Red Clay Consolidated School District here in Wilmington, Delaware. I'm Dr. Judith Conway. I'm the Supervisor of Unified Arts here at Red Clay, and I'll be your host for this show. On today's show, we're going to highlight the Talented and Gifted program, a program we often call TAG, one of those many educational acronyms that we use. But today's program, in talking about the Talented and Gifted program, we're going to especially focus on how that program is in our Title I schools. Now, the TAG program creates a student-driven classroom environment that provides authentic experiences to encourage student growth and perseverance through a variety of project-based learning activities. TAG is for students who are committed to growing their abilities to learn and solve problems. Students are identified by academic measures, teacher, parent, student, and administrator representatives and recommendations, and a school-based selection team. Red Clay has strived to improve our TAG programming with the knowledge that there is no state or federal funding, but it was a commitment in the last referendum, and it has continued to evolve, and we are continued to be committed to it. Join me in welcoming Jim Comegys, our Director of Curriculum and Instruction. Well, hey, Jim.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me today.
Oh, thank you for coming. Yes. So, the TAG program. So tell us a little bit about the TAG program. What makes a Talented and Gifted program different from a regular curriculum?
When you start to examine gifted and talented programs across the country, you see that we have a certain population of students, between 2 and 5%, that have academic and artistic talents that are well beyond their peer age groups. Typically you start to see it in a math classroom, kids that are accelerating themselves in those types of classrooms. And really what happens in a gifted and talented program typically is you start to see kids that through their own hard work, through their learning and through their academic aptitude, have accelerated beyond their peer group. And that becomes a place where classroom teachers are looking for ways to challenge, to help engage, and to help those young men and young women really stretch beyond what they're able to offer in a grade level appropriate classroom. So when you start to look at it nationally, that's what you're talking about. When you start to come back into Red Clay and you start to look at it at the process in Delaware, you find that gifted and talented programs have a wide variety of meaning. All of our kids are gifted and talented at something. We really believe that all kids are gifted and talented. So what we've been looking at over the last few years is how do we support those gifts and talents in the classroom? And then how do we also supplement and find ways to really engage and have those students driving at real world problems? So in Red Clay, our gifted and talented program kind of runs the gamut at this point. We've been developing and facilitating programs in all of our schools. Over the last few years after our last referendum, we began to really make sure that we're ensuring equity in our Title I buildings and make sure that we're providing programming in those buildings for these types of students that have clearly accelerated beyond their grade level peers. So right now, it's a wide variety of programming. We've been exploring and chipping our way through it. There was a piece of legislation and a focus group that happened about 5 years ago that made all schools accountable to look at and develop these programs without any funding, without any support and knowledge on how you pull that off, or any 100% this is the way you have to do it. So Red Clay has had a gifted and talented committee for about 6 years, just under 6 years, with principal and community members and teachers that currently have always taught gifted and talented students. And we've really been massaging that program to make it a Red Clay program. And today we're going to share with you 2 of our teachers and one of our schools that is really starting to become an up and coming program and really facilitating that development of what it actually means to support these learners in their schools.
Excellent, excellent. So we have teachers who are specifically designated to be teachers of gifted and talented. What kind of professional development do we offer them? What kind of support?
We have teachers that have been with Red Clay and I'm stretching the timeline, but gifted and talented programming has been around since I was in school as a student, and every school had a gifted and talented teacher. When funding gets tighter, some of these programs are sometimes the ones that are early early shuffled. So we've had teachers that have been with us, in excess of 15 and 20 years that have continued to work at this work. And for their professional development, we've been engaged in project or problem-based learning. We've been bringing in a national consultant to really think about how to get kids who are truly talented working on a project and then a problem. A project being, like we've always thought of a project, but beyond what they would typically do on a grade level. A project could be shooting a video or a PSA. Those are the kind of those kinds of things. And then when they start to think about a problem, we want them to look at their school, we want them to look at their community and start to dig into a problem to solve. And
something that's real for them.
Yes, we've seen students accelerate their learning through a recycling program. So the project first will be talk about recycling, show us how you could implement recycling. But then the product or the problem they would be solving is how to actually recycle in their whole school, not just their household, not just something they can impact, but something they can impact in the community or their school community. So that's the driving force behind some of our rationale. We want to also offer more of a student-centered learning environment too, where we can start to differentiate based on student interest and student need. We still have a long way to grow that program, but in the arts, and I know you're passionate about the arts, but we have lots of kids that are talented in the arts, and they're in band or chorus or musical instrumental programs for a certain segment of their day, and they're along with the teacher and they're doing great quality work, but we want them to begin to compose their own music or really appreciate something that they don't have an opportunity to do inside of that course, and really start to think of it as a problem or a project. Like, how can I impact my community with this love of music or this love of art? And you see in many schools, you start to see things like murals, community murals, and getting together a performance for a community that may not ever have that opportunity, or some type of problem they're solving to make the arts come alive when maybe they weren't alive before the gifted and talented student took on that problem or that project. So, well, let's go back to the question you asked me, make sure I answer.
My question was, what kind of training and support? But and that brought us to problem-based learning and the project and the problem to solve. So yeah,
we've been doing that professional learning, and we're lucky enough to have hired 2 teachers to support our Title I schools this year, and really making sure they get the professional development too. We've been lucky enough to have them attend a conference on gifted and talented, to really work together with our department and other resources, and really their professional learning is they'll go out and also talk with our current gifted and talented teachers in other schools. They're able to take some online coursework with Denise Tuck and work on the online coursework to help support their knowledge. So we're really building a foundation for them, investing heavily in their professional learning, so they're meeting the needs of their children as well. So the professional development is twofold. It's for our existing current teachers and really making sure they're digging deep into that project and problem-based learning, and we've had a nice professional learning opportunity over the last 2 years with that. And then our newest teachers, we're making sure they get the background and foundational knowledge to help support our advanced learners as they're building a program and building it in multiple schools, and really trying to massage how they work through 4 different schedules or 3 different schedules. So it's been a learning opportunity for all of us. Yes,
for all of us.
Just like all schools, we say, well, this will be great to do it, and let's do it tomorrow. Luckily, we've had a little bit of a break in the planning years, and we've had some good thinking. Now we're at the doing, and we're running into our struggles, and we're evolving that program as time goes on.
Absolutely great. So, talented and gifted programs have students. So, can you talk a little bit about how those students are identified?
Yes, and our gifted and talented programs right now are at our middle school level. We're currently servicing 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students. That's a decision point we made. As students come in as kindergartners, it's hard to really sort out someone who might have tremendous academic aptitude over a peer at that level. So consciously, we've decided that 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade is when we really start to see some of the acceleration happening for our advanced learners. So what we're doing is we're building some of these mechanisms for identifications. In our schools that have had programs before, they've had ongoing identification processes. So we're grabbing those processes. We're looking at them as a system, because each school had been operating individually with the gifted and talented program, and now we're trying to use some of the referendum funding, to use some of our professional learning, and to use our best thinking to systematize it. Like I said, when I was in school, there was a tag teacher almost in every building, or there was funding that was dictated or given out from the state and the local districts. As time's gone on, that funding has got tighter and tighter. So principals and schools have made some decisions Now we're actually back to the point where we're really valuing it. We asked the taxpayers for support in our last referendum. Luckily, it was passed. We're so thankful for that. We've been able to purchase some materials. We've been able to supplement some resources, and we've been able to hire 2 staff in my department to serve some students that were not being served in the past because they were making educational decisions to support student learning on the other end of the spectrum, our neediest students. So right now, we've earmarked and really dedicated resources for both ends of our spectrum, for our students that have some academic challenges and our students that have some academic acceleration needs. And that money and that professional learning and that time is also being developed to systematize it. So right now, we go out to our teachers and we say to our general classroom teachers, who are your high performing students? We also have some academic measures that we pull from our assessment data. We also then talk to the school teams and the teachers and the administrators, and we form a committee. A lot of that work is just new in these schools, so it's trying to standardize and systemize it has been part of the challenge. And when you talk to Miss Meara and Miss Lane today, you'll hear a little bit about the work they've been doing, and it took them almost a marking period to get some of these things in place and just start to pull the data and look at it to make critical decisions for placement. So they grab academic data, teacher and student and parent input and recommendations, and principal input and recommendations. They meet as a team and they go through their lists and identify students based on a set criteria. And that criteria is we're looking for the top 15% of our students academically in each school, and we're trying to identify them using multiple measures, multiple means. And right now we're focused on that academic area. We hope as we build this program, we'll be able to go out to some of our unified arts and our performing arts and say, who are your movers and shakers here? Who are your really talented kids? And could you as the band teacher work with us?
Right. Wouldn't that be an interesting mix to have all those different intelligences represented? Yeah.
And that's our big goal, and that's a big long-term plan, is that if you had a 3rd grader that was truly talented and exceptional at a visual art, not every tag teacher is going to know how to craft that into a project or a problem, but if that gifted and talented teacher works hand in hand, side by side with the unified art teacher, you can say, wow, it would be really cool if, look at our walls here, we want to really start to beautify this school, and what kinds of things could we do? And that's our long-term big goal. Our short-term goal is to get programs up and running to help students that are academically high stretch, really problem solve, critical think, and to build those skills in those students. The other longer-term goal is that we want to make sure as we build a program that it's not a pull-out isolation type program. We want our gifted and talented teachers, and in many of our places, they already are serving and helping to work with the general classroom teacher, the homeroom teacher, or the academic teacher. One thing we're building in this iteration is the online programming. So a lot of the problems that we want to build out in our 1st and 2nd and 3rd year, kids will have access to them through the technology that we have in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade on Schoology or on a computer. So when they're in their general classroom and they're not with their gifted and talented teacher, who they only see about 90 minutes a week, they're only seeing that person about 90 minutes a week, they would have access to that problem or that project. So when they're done their math lesson or their math instruction faster than maybe some of their peers, they're able to go onto their Chromebook and start working on that project.
Oh, nice. So they get the independent time away from the teacher, which is nice, because then they'll have some thoughts and be able to come back with some questions or some problem that they think they've identified because they've thought about it, and they've had those materials at their fingertips.
And our current structure, these teachers are in different buildings, different days. So like the teacher that has one of the students who's advanced and he's done his math work, you can say, don't you have a talented gifting program you can be working on? The kid can get on and start working on it and ask the teacher, no matter where they are, a question where the teacher can modify and change and look for help, track and find some resources for a kid. Even though they only have one face-to-face meeting a week, there can be touch points outside through the use of technology. And that way, the teacher who's saying to the kid sometimes, I know you're finished, go pick a book to read, or the teacher's like looking for accelerated worksheets, we're giving them a tool also to help support kids' own learning. And we're putting the student in the center of that learning, not looking for activities to engage and captivate a student that aren't necessarily student driven. A lot of times you'll see things like that happening in classrooms. You'll say, what if we had a way to reach this kid and push them further on the path that they want to go on? And this is another avenue for some of that personalized learning, some of that student-centered learning. Let them take the ownership of that learning, and that's also why in our profile we also do want to see students that are motivated, students that are really driven to be their own learner. So that's part of one of the things we're looking for when we're out identifying students.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you for sharing all this good information with us. I think it's given us a nice overview of where the program has come from and where it's headed and what it's like today. And I thank you.
We're really thankful for the support of the community, for the principals, and our 2 dynamic teachers that we've hired this year. We look to expand the program in the future. So keep paying attention, keep asking questions, and we're here to serve.
Oh, excellent. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Judith.
Please stay tuned for our next guest as we continue to explore today's topic.
In 4 days. There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children. She didn't know what to do.
Did you have a good day at school?
She gave them some broth without any bread.
There you go.
And kissed them all soundly
Night night.
and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back to Red Clay This Month, where we're talking about talented and gifted programs. Please join me in welcoming our next guest, Dr. Chrishaun Fitzgerald. She's the principal at Warner Elementary School and is going to share with us what the program, the gifted and talented program that is like there. So please welcome Dr. Fitzgerald.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, sure. Because we're all really interested to know about talented and gifted at Warner.
Yes,
tell us about
indeed.
tell us about the program.
Well, we are very happy to have talented and gifted at Warner Elementary School. I think really to begin, sometimes when we speak about students who have very different backgrounds, needs, and things of that sort, we think that these students only need a lot of remediation. Right? We're very unilateral in our approach. And I am very grateful that this district is very forward thinking in providing talented and gifted for students at Warner Elementary School and at the few other Title I elementary schools. At Warner Elementary School, we have 2 wonderful teachers, 2 tag teachers who come over and service the students. We have about 16 in 3rd grade, 14 in 4th grade, and 12 in 5th grade. These students see the teachers for 90 minutes on Tuesdays. So we're very excited about the opportunities, and the students look forward to attending their tag classes.
Oh, excellent, excellent. And that's interesting to know. We hadn't talked about that before, that it's not 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade mixed. It's the 3rd graders have their time, the 4th graders have their time, and the 5th graders have their time.
Correct.
Yes.
And so we have that amount of time where the students can really learn and engage, something that we've particularly worked on and I've seen quickly as a challenge is their stamina. And so the time stamina for the students.
Right, because 90 minutes is a pretty long time for a 3rd grader.
It's a long time, but the students are growing and they're persevering and they're doing a great job.
Oh,
We're happy
excellent.
about that.
Excellent. So Tell me a little bit more about the experiences of the Warner students. What have they been working on? What's caught their interest?
So the students are doing an outstanding job. When I've dropped past the class or when the students remark to me what they've worked on in TAG, they will mention their 3D printing, they will mention
3D printing?
3D printing,
Oh,
yes,
that's fabulous.
indeed. They will tell me one thing that we're doing in the building also is recycling, and so they will relate that recycling effort to a larger problem. A lot of problem-based learning. The students are really the facilitators of their own learning, which I think is a different process from what we're used to in traditional school. We're moving now, we're seeing schools and classrooms and teachers are really the facilitators of learning, but now the students are able to take more ownership of their learning. They're able to process through the problems, and they're persevering, and they're doing a great job. So when you come into the classroom, it's not the traditional stand and deliver. It's not the traditional students turn your books. The students are really in charge. And I truly appreciate that level of engagement from the students.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, it's always fun when you get to drive the bus, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, and so they're driving their own buses.
Oh, don't tell the students that.
No.
They are in charge
Metaphorically.
of their learning. Yes, indeed.
Metaphorically speaking,
Yes,
they're driving
indeed.
their own buses. So what are your hopes for the future of this program since this is a newish program at Warner? What are your hopes for the future?
My hopes for the future, of course, are to get more students involved and talented and gifted. I want to increase the opportunities for the students. I want them to learn critically. I've seen positive peer-to-peer relationships as students.
Nice.
Yes, as students are working with one another, and I want them to be.
Because right, they would be working with, if all third grade is meeting together, then they would be working with kids who aren't in their particular classroom.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. It's outstanding. I want them to really be able to focus on investigation, the investigation model, and really being able to solve critical problems. And so that's my hope. Of course, we all as administrators and as red clay professionals, we all want to see the rise in the test score. And you know, the test score definitely has its place, the RI, the MI, the Smarter Balance test. But at the end of the day, we want our students to be critical thinkers.
Yeah, we do.
We really do. We want them to be critical thinkers, and we really want them to be able to work together to solve problems.
Yeah, that's the future, right?
That's the future.
If we're
it's
gonna
the
have-
future of education.
Yeah, if we're going to have any chance at saving the earth and you know,
Correct.
a number of other problems that we face.
Correct. I think that solving problems and critical thinking really is it has its place in the global market. Right? And when we're starting to think about the marketable skills for college and career readiness, we as individuals, we have to solve problems. We're moving away from a lot of the skilled professions, and now our professions, we're more involved in technology and science and the STEM field, so we have to be able to solve the problems. We have to be able to read and think critically and move forward in that vein.
Excellent, excellent. And
Yes.
I'm hoping too, having been around gifted and talented programs and all of that, for the spillover effect to start happening
Yes.
too.
Yes.
You know, it may take a couple of years, but the spillover effect, so that in regular classes they're doing more of those kinds of
Exactly.
things, and then that pushes the talented and gifted even further along that continuum. But now everybody is getting that chance to be a critical thinker.
Exactly. I think that the teachers are starting to ask the students, well, what are you doing there that has you so excited, and how is it that you're becoming so engaged in the work and with your peers? And so the teachers are starting to ask. I see the spark beginning.
Excellent.
So I'm very hopeful. I'm very hopeful that the work will catch on throughout the building.
Excellent, excellent. And everywhere too.
Yes. Yes. indeed.
But of course especially at Warner, because we love Warner.
Indeed. We love Warner, and we love our Warner students. They're the best students, and so we know that they have promising futures.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you, Dr. Fitzgerald. I really appreciate you giving me the the clear picture of
Thank
what the
you.
Talented and Gifted program at Warner is like.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for the opportunity to share what's happening at Warner. Like I said, so often we think that our students just need to remediate. I think we need opportunities like this so that we can build their background knowledge, right? So we can build that schema so that they have the background.
Right, a
on
full
which to build.
appreciation of the full spectrum of what is
Correct.
possible.
Correct.
Yeah.
I believe students need the art, the culture, the dance.
Oh
the
yeah, I
music,
am
the
with you
song.
there.
Yes.
Yeah. And our Warner Shortledge Arts
Yes.
Alliance
Yes.
that we work on as well.
Yes, indeed.
So, well, I really appreciate your coming. We're going to take a short break now, but you be sure to come back for our next guests.
Queen is just my everything. Right now, I wouldn't know where my life would be without her.
They say chivalry's dead. It's not. Terrence is a gentleman. He opens doors. His smile did it. His smile, his eyes, his knowledge. My landlord, he decided that he wanted me to move based on the fact that I was transgender. It takes me to a place of no hope. It takes me to a place of loneliness. It saddens me. When you discriminate against somebody in housing, where do these people go? Let's just respect people in everyday life for just being human.
Welcome back to Red Clay This Month, where we're talking about the Talented and Gifted program here at Red Clay. Please join me in welcoming two of our very talented and very gifted talented and gifted teachers. Please welcome Jen Lane and Ellen Meara. Hello, Jen. How are you? I'm great. Thanks for coming. Hi,
how are
Ellen.
you?
I'm great, thanks. Okay, so talented and gifted teachers. Like, you must love saying that. I would love saying that. Oh, hi, I'm a talented and gifted teacher. So tell us what's happening. Talented and gifted programs across our Title I schools.
Okay, so we're having a lot of fun with all of our students.
I hope so.
We are. So actually something that I know we really enjoy doing, and the students have really loved it also. Have you ever heard of the escape rooms?
Escape rooms, yes.
Okay.
I've been too scared to try it, though. I'm a little claustrophobic.
You'll have to go for it.
Yeah, I tried. I failed though, but I've tried it. But we do something very similar with our students. We do a breakout room. So it's really breakout EDU. So it's a breakout box.
Some of my librarians have breakout boxes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Our students absolutely love it. So we started with a cat in the hat, and they had to find the cat's hat. So they have to solve all these different puzzles and challenges to figure out the different combinations to the locks.
To break into the box.
Yes, to open the locks on the box. Yes, exactly. So
And sometimes there are, so it's a box maybe like this big, and it's got maybe 4-ish
Yeah,
locks
you
on
can
it,
put as
different
many-
kinds of combinations, and the clues give you the combinations, and
Exactly.
then obviously if the lock opens, you know you got it right.
Yeah.
Exactly, yes. And so the last one, just like you were saying, the last one we did had a directional lock, and so like a number lock, a word lock, so exactly that. And they get
A directional lock, like up, down? Oh,
that's
okay.
one of the options, yeah.
I've never seen a lock like that. You know, I'm doing this because
Well,
you
no, that it is, and I've learned too.
twirl the dials.
Yes, it's a new type of actually combination lock. I think that's easier. I read for kiddos to use. So that's been a lot of fun. They've loved those. They want to, if they could have that every week, they would. But we've also
They ask all the time.
Yes, but we integrate a lot of other activities too. So they've loved that. And then something else, we're currently in our first project, Crack the Code, which students are working with coding, and they're working to analyze different types of codes, which has been really interesting because they have to really think critically.
Like code like World War II encryption code?
A little bit of that, and then even like sign language, different types of languages, and just really
as opposed to like Scratch, computer coding.
We'll get to that. Yes, we are doing that too. And Jen, she's the tech savvy one, so she's going to really tell you a lot about that. But with Crack the Code, they're really looking for like the patterns and relationships and systems between these different codes, and they get to create their own. So they're all working on right now creating their own kind of secret code within their groups that then they'll share out within the team and present to their other classmates. So that's been really fun to see them working together, just to kind of see how creative they can really be.
So we've also been working on developing students' 21st century skills. So like Ellen was saying, we use a lot of technology in class. So we use Schoology in every class, and like she was alluding to, we use Scratch and Google Computer Science first. So right now the project they're working on in Scratch is they make their own video games. So
my grandson was doing that.
Yeah?
Yeah. He doesn't live here, but with his class.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they love racing each other, and so they've been having a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see how much students can do even with coding. They're doing block coding. I mean, that wasn't around at least when I was a kid. You know, it's just very different, and it's really interesting to see how excited they get about it.
Yeah, one of my students is so excited. She's been like bringing it home and showing her friend, and they've been teaching each other and building all these skills and competing against one another. It's really sweet.
Excellent. And it's really good for them to, because it involves not only thinking about the actual coding, making the game work, but what makes a good game.
Yes.
Like a game you can't win, well, that doesn't make a good game. A game that is too easy to win, well, that doesn't make a good game. So like there are a lot of other things to think about in terms of all of these kinds of projects.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting too, the kind of opportunities this can open up for students. Like just today I was talking to my students and I was explaining, some people do coding for a job, and one of my students, she says, really? That's awesome! So it's cool seeing how it's changing their understanding of what they can do in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because there's all kinds of, if this is a young lady, there are all kinds of girls who code activities.
Yeah.
To encourage girls to get into that field and to choose engineering type things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. In any kind of teaching job, there are special challenges and joys. And what do you think those are? Like, are they any different from a regular teacher in terms of teaching in the TAG program, the challenges and joys?
I would say probably, within any job in education, there's challenges and joys,
Yeah.
I think for us, the challenge for us this year has been just the logistics almost of it all. In terms of being in, between the two of us, 7 different buildings, with 3 different grades in each building, and just trying to figure out scheduling and making sure that there's always something that comes up, especially in elementary schools, lots of fun different activities, whether it's something for PBS, and just again, the challenge of really being able to communicate with everybody and making sure that, we always can still pull our students, and that we have kind of taken care of any conflicts that we have. So I think logistics. I also think, when we're starting to build a program from scratch, I think anytime you're going to have challenges with that, and that's taken us a lot of hard work, but I think we have a vision, and we're really excited and hopeful for that vision, and so we have a lot to look forward to. So we're excited. So I think, to answer your question, I think there's challenges and joys to any kind of But Jen will go on a little bit more with some other challenges maybe we see, and then we'll share some joys.
Oh, okay.
So in some ways our talented and gifted students are all similar. They're really advanced in reading and writing and math, but one challenge is that they are so different, and so supporting them in their needs and strengths for each student, especially across schools, is challenging, just to get to know all of them and support all their needs in that way.
Yeah, I can see that because you only see them one day a week, so it takes a little bit longer to get to know them. Next year it'll be a little easier, I bet, because you'll have some of those same third graders back as fourth graders, and you'll have already had a year of experience with them. But yeah, especially when it's student-directed learning, you know, like Jim was talking about, that you know, they're directing their own learning, like that really depends on who they are and what they like, and that takes some time to get to know.
And then to go into some joys, I mean, obviously we're having a ton of fun with our job too. I think that a big joy for both of us, while it's been hard logistically with different schools, it's been also so cool to get to know so many different staff members, so many different administrators, so many different students. You know, I just moved back to Delaware, and so it's really cool to get to see and get to know so many different people in Red Clay, and just to see how things work. And that has been a huge joy. And the staff members.
It's funny that you say that. My traveling music teachers, they feel the same way because they get to go into different schools to do their music lessons. And they say the same thing, that it's really, that's really one of the things they really like.
Yeah, and all the teachers have been, and administrators have been so patient with us and supportive and flexible, just as we're really implementing this program. And all of the other tag teachers in the district have been super helpful too. It's been nice getting to know them when we collaborate, because you know, you learn and you get to learn about different strategies and activities that they use within their schools. So I think all that collaboration and getting to know a lot of people, like your traveling music teachers, that's been really a big joy for us.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and so in Red Clay, the atmosphere and culture are great. Everyone's so supportive, and our students are really eager to learn. And so, kind of like what you were saying, it's really awesome and fun to, when you go into a Red Clay school, you know what to expect. You know people are going to be there and be happy to see you and be so willing to help you with anything you need. And the students are going to be eager to learn and just happy to work together. So that's really fun. And it's also been really cool to see students flourishing with the time that they've had with us, and so the exposure they have had to tag services. And actually, we brought some quotes from students to share with you today.
Yay!
So these are students from Warner.
Oh, yes, and of course we were just talking to Dr. Fitzgerald, who is the principal there.
Yes. You want to do the first one?
Sure. In tag, we always do something new. We created a video game, and it was really fun and interesting. And that was from a third grader.
Okay, and then from a fifth grader, in Tag at Warner, we do funny and cool challenges. They give us things that make us think a lot, so that's great.
And Tag is very fun and expands our creativity by thinking outside of the box, and that was a fifth grader.
And with the breakout boxes, literally
Yes.
outside the box.
Yeah, seriously. So that's always fun to see that, you know, our students are really enjoying it too, and that's what it's all about. So that's been really cool to see.
Excellent, excellent. So this is just the first year of this program.
Yes.
So next year will be a lot easier, I'm sure, in terms of the challenges, the logistics, and things like that we've talked about. How do you see this program, like in an ideal world, how would this program evolve?
So I think really, you know, our goal is that we want to provide access to all. We want to make sure that, you know, all students have their own strengths. And when I say all, I mean all students in Red Clay. I know we have our own students in TAG, but I mean really all students. And I want to make sure, and we want to make sure, and we know, Jim, we're working to really ensure that all students have access to different tag strategies and different tag activities, and that's going to take a lot of time because we want to work with teachers. We want to make sure that teachers have access to this so that their students have access, and really providing resources for parents to be able to use while at home. So we're really hoping that, again, that all students will be able to have you know, the opportunities to really get to do some of the things that we're doing. And I think that, you know, sometimes as teachers there's a lot of fun things that we want to do. You know, in my class last year in 5th grade, I always wanted to do a lot of different things. We don't always have the time. And I think that that's been a lot of fun that we've had that time, and I think that we want to be able to provide resources for others to use, even to implement or to integrate within their own instruction.
Yeah, that spillover effect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, spilling over from tag to all of the other classrooms.
Yeah. And then
So we're also really excited to just see how students evolve, especially after we've had them for a number of years and the program gets built up, but just to see how they're growing and developing as a response to the services. Also, so right now we're giving services to challenge students in math and reading and writing, and so we'd really like to expand that to provide challenge for students in other areas. So maybe they're really good at an instrument, or maybe they're really good at art. Or
Absolutely.
which I know we hopefully will be working together.
Yes.
So a number of different talents and skills. So we'd really like to see the program build out to provide challenges for a number of different needs in different talent areas.
That whole multiple intelligence
Absolutely.
idea, so that whatever your talent is, you've got an opportunity to share, and you know that may just be the talent you need on this particular team to solve a particular problem.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So.
Well, thank you both so much, Ellen and Jen. It sounds like, well, I know it's really important work, and it sounds like it's fun, and that it's being effective, and that we have some good things to look forward to seeing.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Oh, sure.